Welcome to the practical demonstration of the essential movements from the Spinal Hygiene Workshop. So please, I'm going to ask you to follow along. Make sure you're in some loose clothes and you have a chair for support and a bit of space. So let's begin. The first movement you're seeing is spinal rotation. We start with this first. It's the most important movement. Why? It's getting all the joints in your spine moving. Now your brain loves it when your spine moves. It's not just addicted to it, it's actually essential for your brain and nervous system to work properly. Notice how my head is stationary relative to my shoulders so that I'm creating rotation in my neck as well as the rest of my spine. 30 seconds of this is a good start to the day. Next movement is lateral flexion. Please notice how my hands are running down the side of my leg as far as my knee, and that my ear is going to the shoulder that's going down as well to create lateral flexion in my neck. If you look at this from the side, please observe that I'm keeping my shoulders over my pelvis. I'm not creating flexion at my waist. The next motion or movement, essential movement, is flexion and extension. When I go down, my chin tucks in. When I come up, I look at the ceiling. You should notice that you go a little bit further every time you go down. Keep your knees straight. From here, we're going to move up to our shoulders and create motion in our shoulders. We want to keep them moving. So we're doing big arm circles. Keep your palms up. Do 10 forward, do 10 backwards to help maintain a normal range of motion in our shoulder joints. Another essential stretch or movement for your shoulders is what I like to call back slaps. We're creating internal and external rotation in our rotator cuffs. And you can see I'm just patting myself on my back, creating a rhythm. 15 to 20 of these is great. Right, let's move into our hips. Let's do some hip circles to help get nice motion in our hips. We're just going around the circle, hitting all 4 cardinal points in the compass, north, south, east, and west. Make sure you push out as far as you can go in each of those directions. 5 or 10 each direction. Now this movement I affectionately call the chubby checker. It's reminiscent of some old school twisting. Now please notice that the ball of my foot is contacting the floor and I'm just turning my knee in and turning it out. Right? This creates internal external rotation in your hip and it also activates a lot of your core muscles as well. Next, we're going to get into some footy kicks. Pretty straightforward, just like kicking a football. We want to start small and eventually get our kicks higher and higher. You should be able to balance on one foot and do this quite easily. Okay? If you're having problems with your balance, you can use a chair or the wall or have some kind of support to help keep your balance. Keep your legs straight, start out small, and kick higher each time. All right, you should be warmed up now. Your heart rate should be up. We can get into some stretching. The muscles have blood flowing to them, so we're not going to injure ourselves. So our first stretch is for our hip flexors. Hip flexors run from our lumbar spine down to our knee. And by doing this exercise, we're stretching that. Hip flexors take a lot of abuse from all the sitting we do. All right? I'm driving my pelvis forward and into the floor and stretching the back leg and hip flexor. Another variation you can use this for this is just standing. If you can do it without a chair, great. And as you reach forward, you're pulling your ankle up, keeping your rib cage up, and keeping your head up as well. If you're having problems with your balance, just put your hand on that chair. Next, we're going to do our toe touches or our hamstring stretches, also known affectionately as a forward fold. Keep your knees locked and hang at the waist. All right, fold your arms and just let your torso hang. Every time you breathe out, you should allow your torso to just hang a little bit more and allow your torso to get a little bit closer to your thighs. 15 to 20 seconds of that is great. Next stretch is for the insides of our thighs. On your sheet, it says splits. Now, I'm not expecting you to be able to do the splits. I can't do them. That's an unrealistic expectation. Nevertheless, we still want to be able to stretch the insides of our thighs. Okay? Put your weight back through your heels, hands flat on the floor, and just allow those muscles to stretch. 15 to 20 seconds of that is great. Walk your feet back in, come back up to standing. Our next stretch is designed to loosen the big paraspinal muscles that run from your neck down to your buttocks. And these muscles cause an awful lot of grief, and there's a very specific way they need to be stretched, and there's a 4-step process to this. So let me break this down for you. First thing we do, we put our hands on our heads. If we bend to the right, we're going to allow our left shoulder to roll forward. We're going to tuck our chin in and then take a breath in and hold it for a count of 5. And this should stretch the left side. So if we're going to stretch the right side, we bend to the left, rotate our right shoulder forward, twisting our torso, tuck our chin in, and hold our breath for a count of 5. So let me show you that one more time. Bend to the left, rotate torso, right shoulder forward, tuck your chin in, hold your breath for a count of 5. You will need to practice this one a few times. Take your time, you'll get it. Let's do some neck stretches. 3 ranges of motion for our neck. Lateral flexion. Here I'm not pulling on my head, I'm just resting my hand. Do not pull on your head. 2 hands on the back of my head to get forward flexion. Thumbs under my chin to get extension. Pushing gently. I'm putting my fingers on my cheekbone and pushing my head to create rotation. Nice and gently. Hold each of these for a count of 5 to 10. On the floor, let's do some hips and lower back stretches. Now the first one is to stretch your piriformis muscle, a little muscle in your bum cheek that creates a lot of grief because we sit too much. So let me show you what we need to do here. So we table our left leg across our right one. We bring our right leg up. I'm going to reach through the hole and around to lock my fingers on my shin, and I'm going to pull my knee towards my head, and that is going to stretch the piriformis muscle in my left bum cheek. So if you can do that on the floor, that's a great way to do it. You can also do it in your chair, and this is the way I like to do it. So I've tabled my leg. I want to keep that shin bone flat, and then I can use the chair to pull my shoulders down to my shin bone. Now if you have trouble keeping your knee down and getting your shin bone flat, you're going to need to spend some time pushing that knee down just to get that level of flexibility first. Okay? Hold each of these stretches for a count of 10 to 20. Next stretch is really a long twisting spinal stretch. You've seen this before most likely. Bring your knee up to your chest, let it drop over to the opposite side. So my left knee is now on the floor, and you want to keep your left shoulder on the floor and look to the left. Just breathe through this. Hold it for a count of 15 to 20. Right knee comes up, right knee goes across, right knee's on the floor, right shoulder's on the floor, and I'm looking right. Just opening up all those joints in the spine again. Remember, your brain loves when your spine is moving. Okay? And finally, one last little movement, not so much a stretch, but it's a movement really specifically for the joints of your lower back and your pelvis. And what I'm doing here is I'm pushing one leg longer than the other one in a rhythm. Okay? One after another, just creating a pumping motion in the joints of my pelvis and my lower spine. Here you can see that I'm not making the legs longer by an awful lot. It's a small amount of movement, but you'll be able to feel it. And just 30 seconds of this first thing in the morning before you wake up is a wonderful way to get out of bed. And that's it. Thank you so much.